I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We are on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in this industry talking about subjects trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions on the topic while we're on the air to our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants, or post them on our Facebook page. That's facebook.com/We Sell Restaurants. If we don't get to your questions, we'll definitely follow up on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have any ideas for the shows or any comments, you can email me. My email address is Eric, E-R-I-C, at WeSellRestaurants.com.
Today, we are talking about America's favorites on those hot summer days, cool summer treats. Is it ice cream or yogurt that satisfies a sweet tooth on a hot day? The United States is the top ice cream consuming country in the world, and the history of this cold treat dates back to the 2nd century BC. Yogurt is a relative newcomer, but it's gaining market share and creating new customers. We're interviewing experts in the industry on the coolest thing for summer days.
And today, joining us first is Solomon Choi. He's a seasoned food service industry leader raised on the philosophy that passion brands are built by engaging with consumers in ways that enrich their daily lives. Recognizing a niche market in self-serve frozen yogurt, Solomon studied the dessert business firsthand by apprenticing in one of the original self-serve frozen yogurt shops in California. He parlayed that knowledge by taking his deep industry insights and relocating to New York to launch 16 Handles. He opened his first 16 Handles in New York City East Village at a time when there were 9 direct competitors within a 4-block radius. He now has over 40 operating locations across the East Coast. Solomon has been featured on MSN, CNBC, Bloomberg News, ABC News, and Fox Business, and in the Wall Street Journal as well, the New York Times, and among many others. He is a graduate of the Marshall School of Business at USC with a degree in marketing. Solomon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, and our second guest is Stratton Leopold of Leopold's Ice Cream. Leopold's Ice Cream was founded in 1919 by 3 immigrant brothers from Greece, George, Peter, and Basil Leopold. They learned the art of candy and dessert from an uncle who had already settled in the U.S. The brothers perfected the secret formula and created the world's famous Leopold's Very Best Ice Cream. Generations of Savannahans have loved Leopold's Ice Cream, and everyone remembers their famous malts, milkshakes, black and white sodas, banana splits, and more. Johnny Mercer grew up a block away from Leopold's and was a faithful customer when he was home from Hollywood. He even told Peter he would write a song about Leopold's famous Tutti Frutti ice cream, which became a Leopold's hallmark and Savannah's favorite.
The original Leopold ice cream shop closed in 1969. Stratton Leopold, the youngest child of Peter Leopold, kept many of the original fixtures in storage while he pursued his dreams of working in Hollywood. On August 18, 2004, Stratton and his wife Mary officially reopened the legendary family business. The new location on downtown Savannah's bustling Broughton Street was designed by the Academy Award-nominated set designer Dan Lomino. The original fixtures were used, including the black marble soda fountain and wooden interior phone booth. The shop has a beautiful old-fashioned flair with some modern decorative additions, posters and prop from Stratton Leopold's film career. He hopes that Leopold's will continue to work its way into the hearts of further generation in Savannah and beyond as a place to find good things to eat, good things to drink. Mr. Stratton, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, we're so happy to have you guys. And I tell you what, ice cream and frozen yogurt are both frozen treats made from dairy, but there is a big difference. We understand that in order for a frozen treat to be legally labeled as ice cream, it must contain at least 10% milk fat. Frozen yogurt is not made with cream and doesn't have that fat requirement. Now, I think I know the answer to this, but beginning with Solomon, which is the best choice in your opinion and why? Solomon?
Yes, I think it's personal preference. And, for me, I'm a lover of both. So I, welcome Leopold here on the show as well. And I think it's interesting because with frozen yogurt, I believe that it lends itself well as a lifestyle product. It's not uncommon to see in our stores throughout the day women coming in after doing yoga with their yoga mats or after their spinning classes. really interacting with our brand, similar to what we saw in the 90s with like the Jamba Juice and the smoothie craze. And so I think that from that aspect, there is certainly a health halo and a health effect with frozen yogurt, being that it has the probiotics and the live active cultures, and the less of a fat content as well. However, in terms of what we want as a cool summer treat, again, I enjoy both personally.
Well, Stratton, I mean, we know that ice cream dates back to the 2nd century, and many believe that it was invented in China. Why is ice cream still tried and true favorite today?
Well, it's an old-fashioned feel-good treat. I mean, I agree with Solomon. It's a personal preference. My mother actually made yogurt, the old-fashioned way, which was wonderful. But our ice cream we are a destination treat. Kids love to come in and get the old-fashioned flavors and old-fashioned soda fountain possibilities. We're equally interested in health. There's no antibiotics. We're all natural, no added growth hormones, what have you. We're very particular about where we get our ingredients. We make everything from scratch, and we're very particular as to what is in it. For instance, my dad taught me in terms of heavy cream, and we have a lot of butterfat. I'll say that. I mean, it is
music to my ears.
Oh, it's like double the thing. Anyway, cane sugar, what have you. I drink the cream, just taste it, because my dad would tell me that if the cows ate onion weed, it would reflect in the taste some, and it does. So the dairies that we deal with, we're very, very particular about. And if, for instance, a couple of years ago, the peach crop was bad, so we didn't have any peach ice cream.
Wonderful. Now, Stratton, I understand Leopold's is having a big birthday this year with a good old-fashioned block party.
That's true. We do it every year. We have a party on our birthday, which is the 18th of August, and then we shut the street down. We have a band. We have games for the kids, hula, just old-fashioned games, hacky sack, hula hoop, hopscotch, and prizes and contests and singers. It's just a lot of fun for a day's treat. And we price everything, the ice cream rather, as to the year it is. For instance, this year it'll be 95 cents per scoop.
Oh, wow. We've got to get down there and get some ice cream for 95 cents a scoop.
Absolutely. That sounds like a really good thing. And Solomon, what about the frozen dessert brand? What are they doing to stay profitable and differentiate themselves in the marketplace? There's so many, like your story, there were so many competitors on your block, within a 4-block radius, you see new yogurt shop coming up every street corner, whether it's a franchise, whether it's an independent. So how do you differentiate yourself and create that powerful, location?
Sure. So one of the reasons I chose to open in the East Village, where it was so competitive, was one, I knew there was a market for frozen desserts, so I didn't need to create a brand new market. It was really just about getting the biggest slice of the pie within that frozen dessert category. And I knew the popularity of frozen yogurt was ever increasing. Prior to coming out to New York, I was part of a restaurant hospitality group, and we had actually a gelato franchise in our portfolio of brands. So that was kind of my first run-in with not only frozen dessert and franchising, but even with some of the West Coast frozen yogurt brands that were starting back in 2005, 2006. So I knew that the popularity of frozen yogurt was going to escalate, and wanted to be that first mover in New York City to offer that self-serve format. And really, that at the time was the game changer for us. I mean, I was an independent. I had enough capital to open one store that was backed by family, and really was offering the customer a different value proposition, in being that we had more flavors, more choices than any of our competitors, both ice cream, gelato, or yogurt. And I think the customers really gravitated towards that. And for us, it was really about selling this lifestyle message of flaunt your flavor. And what I mean by that is, whether it's ice cream, gelato, yogurt, whatever your frozen dessert fix is, it's really about celebrating you. 16 handles, we have 16 rotating flavors daily. We have over 50 toppings. I mean, that turns out being about several trillion combinations in our store if you wanted to look at it that way. But there's really no right way to do it as well. We have indulgent flavors that are that are premium. We have non-fat flavors. We have no sugar added flavors. We have non-dairy sorbets. So really, we understand that there's a multitude of different dietary and just personal preferences And we want to be able to address that, and we don't want to alienate anybody. So, whereas I get a lot of questions asking, well, is everyone going to frozen yogurt just because of health reasons? But I really believe that in our stores, it's that overall experience. It's fun. I mean, our bright colors, the loud music, the energy of our team members, that overall experience is what I think people keep coming back for. We just also happen to have some of the best frozen yogurt here in the country.
So, did you feel like, because there were so many people there, of course they were your competition, but you saw the flip side of this coin is like, okay, well, everybody's coming in that area for some kind of frozen treat, so that's where I need to be because people are driving there, and I just got to capture them as they come for that destination for frozen treat. Would that be about the way you looked at it?
Absolutely, and that's what it was. I was looking at it that the glass was half full, and I think as an entrepreneur starting up a new business, you have to have that vision. As I mentioned, there were 900 competitors, and on top of that, ironically enough, our store, the first store that I opened up, happened to be a Cold Stone Creamery, so that was store number 10. Unfortunately, that franchisee, it didn't work out for them, and they closed after just a few months of being in business. But again, I saw that as an opportunity of being able to open in a store that was also selling frozen dessert and just doing it in a different way with our spin.
So, Stratton, let me have you jump in here because I just believe there's nothing as truly American as ice cream. And coming up in July, it's National Ice Cream Month. I want our listeners to know a little bit more about a unique program that you folks made us aware of called I Pledge for Ice Cream. Tell us about that project and how will you be participating at Leopold's?
Well, it's our fourth year of I Pledge, we call it. The website is ipledgeforicecream.com. And what that is this. During the month of July, we, on Mondays, we pick a day and time, a child, we set up a flag and stanchions and ropes, what have you, and a child 12 and under, accompanied by an adult, that can recite the Pledge of Allegiance from memory, gets a free ice cream cone.
Love that.
It's part of our civic outreach, which I can talk about as well. But for the I Pledge, kids don't do this as much as we feel they should in school, what have you. So we started doing this. After the first year, there was a lot of interest, and the National Ice Cream retailers took notice of it and gave us an award for it. So then I felt every shop in the country, and Solomon, including yogurt, if you like to do it, everyone should do this. Now, what we've done with our website, all of our promotional material is on it with our name off of it. So someone can go in there and print it up if they choose to and do it. And the fact that we do it every Monday, they can do it only on the 4th if they choose to. But we were in over 36 states this past year, the I Pledge program was, and almost 150 shops were participating. And it's something for kids. It really is for kids. The kids get excited. The kids learn to pledge. I think I was most surprised last year when I happened to be there. Some kids were there reciting, and I heard a different language. It was Latin. I had Latin in school. And I asked him, are you speaking Latin? He said, yes. He had learned to pledge in Latin class. We gave him 2 ice cream cones.
That he deserved it for being able to be able to recite in both English and a second language. That's amazing.
I love this story. For the record, I'm with you guys. I love ice cream and yogurt. I'll take any one of them every night of the week that ends with a Y.
Sure.
So I love it, and this is a great thing. And I think any promotions like that does drive people. And Solomon, there's an interesting counter on your website that keeps up going that shows more than 160,000 trees planted. Do your location really help plant 16 trees a day per store? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so that's something that was very important for me. With my background growing up in beach towns along California. Actually, what the governor did, I believe, in 2008, right before I moved out to New York, was they banned styrofoam and a certain type of paper packaging along beach cities because of the fact that they don't biodegrade. And having grown up along beaches all my life, that was something important to me. And I realized that a lot of the packaging that I use, whether it would be the cups, the napkins, and the containers that the products come in, were all paper. So one of the commitments I made was just to have, in the spirit of sustainability and, as far as having corporate social responsibility, how can I kind of, replant what I'm using at the store level? And so, working with a nonprofit in Maryland called Trees for the Future, been a corporate partner of theirs since we started in 2008, where we pledged to help plant 16 trees per day, which from a monetary standpoint isn't really that much, but the effect of that now, multiplied times over 40 stores, it certainly adds up. And these trees are being planted in areas like Congo and Haiti and places where natural disasters have really, messed up their forestry projects, as well as just training farmers to be able to self-sustain on their land and to be able to send their kids to school for as little as, I believe, $5 sends some of these kids to school for a year. And so being able to make that impact is something that's important for us, giving back, what we're using, as well as, helping change the lives of these farmers and their families.
I just think it's always, we interview so many people on this show, and so many people in the restaurant industry have such a giving heart, and to hear both of you describe such great programs that you started, I think that's really amazing. And I think it really is a hallmark of some of the things that makes you successful in what you're doing, because you really go outside your four doors and say, we're going to be a little bit bigger than what we are here. How can something that we do really begin to have a ripple effect, whether it is teaching children to understand the importance of the Pledge of Allegiance and reciting that, or helping to renew our environment. That's both just fabulous stuff. I want to get back to what we're here to talk about. Everybody loves ice cream, but I was really surprised about something, Stratton, and you have to help me with this, because according to the National Ice Cream Retailers Association, vanilla is the number one selling flavor of ice cream, and I'm just floored, because I'm all about the chocolate. So do you believe that statistic? Do you bear that out at Leopold's?
It's quite true. Quite true. Yeah, it's used in so many different ways. I mean, for desserts, what have you. So yes, it is a top seller. Among our sellers, interestingly enough, chocolate is one of our tougher flavors to make. We start, again, from scratch, melting cocoa, melting chocolate liquor, putting it all together, then making ice cream.
Wow.
But yes, it's vanilla.
Okay. So then I guess, Solomon, you do different flavors all the time. What are some of the flavors coming out this summer at 16 Handles?
Well, I mean, just to add to that, believe it or not, our number one flavor is also vanilla.
Interesting.
I think it just makes the best base. Is the safest to use, along with other flavors, as well as the different topping selections we have. In terms of answering your question, actually, one of the kind of innovative flavors we're coming out with this summer is a vegan vanilla, which is going to be made with a soy-based dairy alternative. In addition to that, we have some fun flavors like what we call Coco Loco. It's a rendition of coconut water sorbet, which is also a non-dairy flavor, but we'll be the first brand to actually use coconut water as a base for our flavor. And so I think, whether it's addressing the popularity of vanilla, but in a different dietary fashion, or even introducing coconut water in an innovative way, it's really about providing the customers with things that with things that they like, as opposed to just doing things for the sake of being innovative.
I'm just speechless, guys. I mean, vanilla. I mean, that's my last resort, but I mean, I guess because I love it so much. But a little question about yogurt is a youngster on the scene here. It's relatively new food. I mean, it really started in like early 70s. When dessert was marketed as a Frogurt, by HBO in a New England dairy. And, we went through a big growth of yogurt in the 80s with TCBY, and they did really well. And then it kind of went away until Pinkberry kind of really started back things in early 2005. Now yogurt is hot again. Do you think it's here to stay? Do you think it's just another fad and it's going to fade away and come back? Or what is your take on the future of the yogurt industry?
Sure. So that's a great question. And I get asked this all the time. I don't think that it's a fad. I think, if anything, it's earned at least the label of being a trend. It's also evident if you go to the grocery aisles. I mean, yogurt has become, and I'm talking about fresh yogurt, especially in the form of Greek yogurt, has become the hero product in the dairy aisle in most of the grocery stores nationwide. And so I think that, again, people are making different lifestyle decisions. And again, I don't think that ice cream will ever go away. I know even for myself, I don't foresee myself ever cutting that out of my diet in the future. But, in terms of how they're enjoying, whether it's frozen treats or even a fresh yogurt, I think it's definitely here to stay, because there are health benefits, and people are more aware of what they're putting into their bodies. And so when you have a healthier alternative, I think, people are choosing to make that decision more than not.
And Stratton, for you, because you're building everything from scratch, you're going back to those kind of hallmarks of quality that were so important to your father. How does that translate into the ice cream world of 2014? I mean, you're using technology. Does that help, or are you doing it old school?
It's old school completely. It's batch frozen in 5-gallon batches, which is the old-fashioned way of making it. We don't use the modern continuous freezers, what have you. It's there's a texture difference, and to me, a mouth-feel difference, if you will, in the two products. So we will never change that. It's the old-fashioned way, and frankly, a lot of the old-fashioned flavors, we don't do many, or very few, I should say, of the newer, trendy flavors. We're, I guess one of our trendiest, we do something called chocolate chewies and cream, which is a cookie that had been baked in Savannah since 1905, I think. And the bakery is out of business now, but the grandson taught us how to bake them. So we bake those and put it in ice cream. We do a ginger ice cream periodically and a rose petal ice cream. That's about as different as we get. We also do a couple of other things. Fresh lemon sorbets. And actually, Solomon, I do a lemon sorbet with Greek yogurt, which is interesting. It's a sherbet, but it's an interesting flavor.
How about that?
Sounds delicious.
You know, Stratton, farm to table for you guys, it's kind of, this is a new trend in the food business, but for you guys, obviously, it's always been true and true. So have you done more, or you keep steering the same course when you come down to more of that natural ingredients back into your product?
I'll take this first. We have actually shifted from going with the mass-produced products to working more with our artisan creameries to use all natural, and that's really been a response to what our fans are asking for. So we also believe in not in sacrificing quality and making sure that we are using premium all natural ingredients whenever possible.
And the same thing, Stratton, you've already shared with us for you, correct?
It's much the same for us. I mean, everything natural and everything as local as possible. Our pecans come from 80 miles away and they're roasted for us. Obviously, we can't get everything locally, but we certainly try to. But natural, yes.
So we have been just talking with some great folks in the industry about the ice cream business, and we want to continue this. We're going to go into our next segment in just a minute, but I pulled some intriguing statistics. I'm just going to tell both of you, just so you don't know, in case you don't know, it takes approximately 50 licks to finish off a scoop of ice cream. And Eric and I plan to test that this evening. We've already said the U.S. is the top ice cream consuming country in the world. You're on the air with Eric and Robin Gagnon. We're the restaurant brokers. We Sell Restaurants is the industry leader in restaurants for sale, franchise restaurant resales, and site location for the food service industry. Stay tuned. We'll be back right after the break.